Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Annie Coleman. I'm the Communications Director of Faraway Projects. We are a fiscal sponsor and nonprofit incubator, and you'll definitely hear a lot more about the work we do during this session. So folks are introducing themselves in the chat. Much appreciated. Andy, thank you so much for being here to help us out. If you have questions, please feel free to drop them in, and we will talk about it all at the end. Today, we're bringing together a fantastic group of individuals to demystify this idea of abundance. What does it mean? How does it work? How can we harness it to solve the world's biggest humanitarian and environmental crises? So no big deal. I'm sure we'll solve it all in the next 45 minutes together. But today we're joined by Katie Shannon, Executive Leadership Coach, Christopher Mackin, Wealth Advisor at the Bleakley Financial Group, and Desiree Tavera, Executive Director of Faraway Projects. So I'd love for each of you to tell us a little bit more about yourselves and the work you do. So Katie, go ahead.
Sure. So happy to be here with you all today. My name's Katie Shannon. I'm an executive leadership and life coach. I like to say that if Rick Rubin, the famous music producer, and Lily had a baby, I would be their procreation. I help people already have a track record of success, learn how to take care of themselves well, and receive care from others well. So they have no problem taking care of the world, setting big goals, wanting to abundantly take care of the people and entities and companies that they've been responsible for. And my challenge to them is, what would you be able to accomplish if you were living from a life that is abundance amplified and giving that to yourself as well, and working on the belief that you are deserving of that. And that's it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Katie. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited to have this conversation and just share a mindset and share some nuggets of wisdom with you all. As Annie had mentioned, I'm a wealth advisor with Bleakley Financial Group. I would consider myself an entrepreneur as I have multiple business endeavors and explore because I love to travel the world. And a philanthropist. I actually sit on the board of Faraway Projects, Ocean Exchange, and have some dealings with Oceanic Global, all around just ocean-related endeavors and trying to make the world a better place. And I'm also a Reiki master. I don't know if Katie and Desiree know that as well, but just love energy healing and have really used that as one of the tools in my toolkit to continue to help and support myself on a daily basis. What I love to do is just to help people. It really started for me with my career in finance, focusing on helping people make smart decisions with their money. And as early in my childhood, I had some experiences and memories that led me to want to help people that I care about achieve the things that they want to in their life. And I found that a lot of people really had a lot of scarcity mindset when it came to money, or just worries, and they really didn't have the best relationship with money. So what we do as wealth advisors, in addition to help people investing, we really help people understand what it is that they want to accomplish in their life, what's important to them, and help them lay out a foundation financially and mentally to help them get there. So looking forward to chatting all things abundance today and sharing this love and light so that people can open up more around
Thank you, Christopher, and Katie, and Annie, and Andy. I'm Desiree Tavera, Executive Director and founder of Faraway Projects. I started Faraway 8 years ago, this December, actually, and I came from an unconventional path. So my background is in event production and hospitality tech, and I transitioned into nonprofits with public policy, working at a 501c4, doing tech public policy and advocacy, and then into disaster relief, and ultimately landed on faraway projects as the mechanism for helping people solve their own problems before they get to disasters, before they get to crises, and really being able to have the tools to address the challenges that they see ahead of themselves. So what was really powerful to me was this experience that I was in Haiti after the earthquake and just before Hurricane Matthew. And we built out of shipping containers a tool lending library. And all of these other NGOs and all of these other locals were coming in and borrowing tools and giving them back, and giving back into the circular economy and the lending library that we had developed so that other people could help themselves. And you hear about these places that, have incredible challenges ahead of them, have, a lot of strife and a lot of trauma, and they're working past colonialization, they're working past being conquered, and a lot of other challenges, environmental now as well. And giving people the resources to unlock what's within them, to unlock the potential, is really what wakes me up in the morning and drives me to continue doing the work that I do with Faraway. So to date, we've had over 80 projects in our portfolio and raised a little over 11 million. We're in well over 20 countries, and it's just been a real journey. Yay! It's just been a real journey to be able to help more people find their true calling, find their true path, and have the tools necessary to be able to help their communities and help the challenges that they see needing just a little bit of extra love and care.
Amazing. Thank you all. So I think what I'd love to do now is get a little bit of feedback from our participants and launch our first poll. And maybe while that's going on, Katie can tell us a little bit about the energy of money and what that means to you.
Okay, just popping that thing off the screen. So, I come from a family of Irish immigrants. I'm third generation. And while, I lived in beautiful homes growing up and went to private schools for some of my childhood and upbringing, there was always this feeling of deprivation. Always a feeling of lack of abundance, even though externally that's not really what I saw. So it was confusing. And so there was just this energy of, let's say, lack. And the way I would describe it is that all the people around us that had more, I'm going to try not to use expletives, were, and it's really hard. I'm finding it very hard to do that. They were pretentious, and we weren't associated with them, and there was just always this jealousy, the undertones of jealousy and the sarcasm that was expressed. And so just a lot of confusion. So not actually energy around money itself, the physical representation. It was the energy of receiving and allowing it to be easy. And I think coming from understanding now what was going on 100 years ago in Ireland, the potato famine, my great grandmother coming over by herself with 2 pieces of clothing, the one that she wore coming overseas, and tossing it overboard when she got here, basically throwing away that part of her life. And also thinking about the fact that she wasn't welcomed in her country. Like she couldn't be taken care of by her country, and also coming into a country that didn't want her as well as a Catholic, refugee, if you will. And so that energy of that lack, of that scarcity, of that deprivation lived on generations and turned into alcoholism, addiction, et cetera, in our family. And so my brother and I have both had to do a lot of healing work around that, around money, around alcohol, around receiving, around emotional deprivation. I identify as a recovering emotional anorexic. So really struggling to be able to receive that emotional nourishment, which I find also replicates itself in the relationship with the energy of money. So there's been a lot of work around that, even though I do have these natural abilities to attract amazing amounts of not only money, but people who have a lot. So again, working through that psychology and the emotional challenges that come with that. So that's really my story. And I think it's just going to be a continuous work, and it's a beautiful, and as Glennon Doyle says, brutal journey. It's brutal. And so just grateful that we have spaces to be able to talk about it openly.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Katie. Christopher, I'd love to hear a little bit from you about how you think about the energy of money and how that shows up in your work.
Money has a different feeling to every person. Sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's light. When people usually come in to first meet with us, there's usually some element of disconnect between spouses around money, in terms of receiving it or a different relationship with it, that I see as a conflict. For the single folks that come in, there's usually some type of avoidance or stress, or not feeling like they have enough of it, right? So when I think of money, I feel I start with money as energy in and of itself, right? Like whether you're talking about the physical piece of currency or the money that's in our bank accounts digitally, there's a certain money, or there's a certain energy that money carries, right? The people that you receive it from, how you give it to people, right? And it really has an effect on how people react, right? So for example, if I buy something and I think of it as an expensive thing, there's a feeling of that maybe I don't deserve it, or that person that I'm paying is like maybe charging too much for it. That when that person receives that, it won't be as well received if I was making that purchase with a smile on my face, right? With a feeling of abundance. So I think there's this essence of energy that money carries with it, and for me, the healing starts to lie in when people share their feelings around their thoughts around money, what their relationship is with it, and they start to kind of dig deep into their feelings around it, so that ultimately they can start to break free of those limiting beliefs or those attachments that they have to it, and at least serve as a, what I do is I serve as an intermediary really between what is the actual reality and the people that are trying to help curate their experience around money.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you touched on this concept of like never enoughness almost. And I wonder, and maybe anyone in the group, if you feel like that's a specifically American idea, or if we can, I don't know, think about, I personally live in Mexico, and I find that the relationship with money and work is so much more fraught in the US than it is in other places that I've lived and traveled. So I was wondering if anyone has reflections on that.
Yeah, I actually would love to jump in here. In my role, I talk to a lot of people in a lot of different countries. And people have a standard, or like a bar that they set relative to their own experience and relative to their own self-worth and relative to their perspective. And what I see is when people start exchanging ideas with people in other places, it starts expanding their perspective. It starts expanding what they see as possible. It starts expanding how they limit themselves or lack thereof, and reshaping how they see possibilities coming to them, and how they see their own limiting beliefs, frankly, because there's a lot of places where $10 a day is all you need, and that's abundance. And then there's New York, that you can't even get a coffee for less than $8. And I think that when you start looking at a larger picture of where you're looking at, and like who you're looking to for this expansion and for this curiosity around energy, around time, around resources, around the fundamental issues that allow people to grow, then you really start expanding what you think is possible. And I think a huge part of what the American drive inherently states is, like, the American dream even is based on more is more, and keep going and keep innovating and keep making possibilities. And I think that's truly beautiful, coming from Peru and coming from a place that a lot of people don't have a lot of things, or money or abundance or resources to help their families, things like that. So when you start looking at it from the perspective of what you can create and what you can make possible for others, for yourself, for your community, by driving yourself beyond your boundaries, by driving yourself beyond your limits, and expanding who you're talking to about these things, expanding what you see as possible, and other places, other perspectives that can help shape that, then you really start creating a more robust picture, rather than just a sketch of what your relationship is.
Yeah, I'd love to add on to perspective, right? Because to someone who even recently has been to some of the poorest countries in the world, like India and Indonesia and Peru, to some of also the most abundantly financially fiscal countries. There's that perspective really is one in which you only know, what your experiences are, right? So in the United States, for example, I mean, the amount of people that I meet that don't have a good relationship with money, or feel like they're lacking something, or have that FOMO mentality around experiences, these are all people who have most oftentimes left the country before, without the perspective of like really comprehending and being present to the fact that not many people in the world get the opportunity to even leave their country ever, right? So with Americans, I feel that there's this essence of a split world, right? We're pretty evenly split in a variety of different ways, not only with politics, but also with wealth and the wealth gap, right? It's pretty significant here, as it is in other countries too. But there's a lot more people in that top group, right? The top 1% or so. And I think Americans, for the most part, they have this view, in general, have this view of wanting to sharing all the experiences, wanting to have this great life for themselves. But I think it often comes from a place of not really looking within to what their true desires are, right? Like their connections with nature, their connections with community, with giving back when there's an opportunity to, versus just the feeling of needing to work and create and build income and build passive incomes and all these things. So I think it's just a really a perspective and importance, right? To the people in Peru and Indonesia, they're just happy waking up and taking care of their house, right? And taking care of their community. They don't need to leave. They don't have a desire to leave. They don't really, they're not in touch with all the things that are going around them. And yeah, I think it really goes to show that the more access to information that you have about what is possible, and the more you're hit with that on a daily basis, whether it be through social media or other avenues, the more people are presented with the opportunity. Can I do this? Like there is the opportunity to do this. This is something I want to pursue. It looks amazing. It looks fun. So they get that drive somewhere to want to create in a way that gives them the ability to do that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Christopher. You just reminded me of this interaction that I had with this lovely older man in Indonesia off of Komodo Island years and years ago. You know, I saw just a bunch of giant leaves on the side of a hill, and I go up to him and I was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Oh, I sell cigarettes. I make my own cigarettes and I sell cigarettes." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, "It's for my son to go to college." And I was like, "Oh, wow." And he's like, "And these are the cigars for my daughter to go to college." And he was just selling the tobacco that he grew because he was happy with his life, but he wanted his kids to have a different life, a more abundant life. And he was doing all that he could. And it was just like such a beautiful, you know, very direct relation to, I'm happy and I know that they can be happy in this world beyond, you know, our hillside. So I definitely, that resonates a lot.
So we talked a little bit about, you know, this culture that we're in the United States and kind of manufactured scarcity. And I'm curious, Katie, in your practice, when you're actually working with clients, what does it look like when you're getting deeper into combating that sort of social, you know, framework of scarcity? What are maybe some tools, or, you know, a little bit about what that process really looks like? Because I imagine it can be a little messy.
Oh yeah, we love the mess. You know, it's funny. I just left Guatemala last Friday, and you know, third world, they're going through civil unrest. I had to actually sort of sneak out of the country in a way from where I was, and it felt really dangerous and scary. ATM shut down, power went out, etc. And I just couldn't help but pay attention to the amount of resources that I had to be able to get out, that I know my friend who I was staying with in Guatemala would not have access to if the situation would have occurred where he was in the US. And I reflected back on, you know, the US sort of state of being, what you're discussing, of this constant scaling, this never enoughness. And what I think, you know, we as Americans, and or at least for me, I go down to those places to pause, to actually take away a lot of my distractions, to get to the essence of who I am and what is really important to me. Because I live in Los Angeles. It is nonstop 24-hour distractions. It's scaling. It's what's the next thing. There's never an opportunity. There's never not enough opportunities. So to go to a place, you know, and there's plenty of examples of this, to slow down. One of my favorite quotes, it's not by Thomas Friedman, although it is featured in his book, Thank You for Making Me Wait, is, when you press pause on a machine, it stops. When you press pause on a human, it starts. And so when I work with my clients, I was just facilitating 6 hours with an executive team of 30, 31-year-olds working in the entertainment industry, and all they want to do is scale. They want to scale. So like, let's go, let's build the next thing. And part of my job is to slow them down and to get comfortable with the discomfort that comes up in the pause, so that we can get really clear on what is our intention here. Instead of even what are we trying to build, who do we want to be? And let a little bit of that magic to come in. And I would say the same thing with a client who went through a $4.1 billion acquisition last year, social impact business, renewable energy, and landfills. $90 million fell into his lap like overnight when he got his payout. And I said, okay, so for 90 days, pick out something that you wanted to buy. It was a baby grand piano. Other than that, let's not touch the money for like 3 months. I want your nervous system to get comfortable with this huge influx of capital. And I also don't want you to make any major decisions, or, you're the hot girl on the dance floor right now. People are going to be coming. They want to be a part of you. They're going to want to pitch you things. We say no for the next 90 days. I want you to just get comfortable in this new world, this new scenario that's been, you've newly created, and you get to decide what you want to do from this place. We get to take the time and pause and plan it out. So I think there's so much for us to learn from countries that might not have as much as us in essence of monetary money, et cetera. And we, because of faraway projects, we're able to use our resources as well and have fun with it. I always get excited when I have a monthly donation, and I get the ping, and like I'm part of something bigger. So I think that's why it's really important to have, organizations like Faraway Projects, where, because of all the distractions we do live in here in the US, to be able to have someone who's sort of cutting through all of that and giving us an opportunity to not only be able to give back, but also be part of something bigger.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Katie. The pause is just so beautiful. It's challenging. It was challenging for me. My professional career was driven mostly by wanting to create more, wanting to grow and expand, and bring in more clients and bring in more, more assets to our platform. And it was really in the moment where I took a pause recently. It was within the past few years that there was so much creation that came out of that moment. Creation on not only different ideas, like other ideas and things that I really wanted to bring to life in this world, but also creation as to what's really important for me, right? What lights me up, and giving myself the opportunity to think about, right, whether it be monetary donations or time donations, right? Like, where do I want to spend my time? How do I want to pause? What do I want to be doing? Who do I want to be supporting, right? And then it's in those moments with community service where I've gotten an opportunity to really pause and slow down, but also connect with like-minded people in such a beautiful way, where you're doing good things for the world, right? You're moving some sort of mission forward, doing it with people that have a similar mindset or similar values or goals as you do. And that's just like a wonderful way to meet people and just have fun together, right? Build some friends. So for me, the pause has been just so beautiful and challenging. And as I continue to bring pauses into my daily life, right, through having certain things that I do in the morning, routines, right, as I wake up in the morning, or as before I go to bed at night, those are the pauses on a consistent basis that really have lasting impact and lasting change, and really have changed the trajectory in the way in which I show up every day, and in the pace at which I show up to the things that I'm doing.
That's such a perfect segue into our second poll, talking a little bit about how abundance leads to giving back and what that reciprocity and exchange feels like. So while we're launching poll number 2, I'd love to zoom out a little bit with Desiree and talk more about how fiscal sponsorship is really a tool for amplifying impact and abundance on a global scale.
Yeah. Thank you, Annie. I approach all of the work that we support at Faraway through the lens of what is possible. And that's why this conversation is so important, because when you start seeing the gaps and seeing how things can be innovated and changed, and you start hoping for a better life and working towards a better life, you move things out of the way. You move, calendars out of the way. You move mountains out of the way. Like, if you think you don't have time for something and a human suddenly gets on a goal, gets on a mission, you best believe they are going to make time for it. We are incredible creators as individuals, and the more grounded we get on what the goals and what the objectives, and Faraway uses the Sustainable Development Goals as impact metrics. So we have a framework that was developed by the United Nations that we operate under, and beyond that, like, as an organization, we work to bring on more projects that are scaling their impact, looking to really grow and want incubation services and want to develop, systems and operations to be able to make a larger impact. And I think as an individual, when I stepped into this, I thought to myself, I came directly from Airbnb. I was in the tax and legal team, and I thought to myself, like, yeah, I've got a little bit of equity, I've got a little bit of a payout, but it's not enough. It's not enough to make an impact. And so I'm going to get my head down and I'm going to start working on this. And how do I scale what I'm able to help and how I'm able to contribute? And it started off with, I'm going to go to these locations. And then I took a step back and I got back to my first principles, to my, more tech related lean background, and thought more agile, and got into, okay, how do we do this digitally? How do we do this through financial services? How do we do this through tech, that is off the shelf, that a lot of people overseas or even a lot of people in the US don't know how to operate? And how do we build capacity and build abundance from every conversation that we're having, so that that energy ripples? How do we do that, from the grassroots individual project in Uganda, in Afghanistan, all over the world, to the, Rockefellers and Bezos family foundations that are supporting us and supporting these initiatives in Indonesia, supporting these initiatives all over the world? How do we help them individually and benefit collectively, unlock that sense of possibility and that sense of abundance that allows us to move those mountains? And so that's just a little bit of what we work on. And there's a lot of, tools and hard skills that go into all of that, and very technical elements that go into that. But fundamentally, that's what I deeply care about with, how I see individuals moving through the process of impact and philanthropy.
Wonderful. Yeah. In the sort of spirit of giving, I'm curious, Christopher and Katie, what your experience has been with your clients around what what needs to happen for them. I'm sure obviously it's, situational, but if you've seen any patterns in how what that threshold is for people to get to a place where they feel like they can give back. Is there something that kind of has to unlock getting from scarcity to abundance? Is there, I'm going to hit this certain amount of money and then I can give to the causes I care about? Or what's the kind of psychology of a donor in your experience?
So ironically, my clients actually have the opposite problem. I need them to like just chill for a second and not give away all their money. Or, like what kind of life do you want to be building and living? And like, let's make decisions from there. And just get clear on what's your intention. Let's make this fun, because you can also get the white savior American complex in there, where it's like, I'm going to fix the problem or fix the things. And, one of the people that Christopher and I am common that we love is Lynn Twist, The Soul of Money, which is an incredible book, highly recommend. And it's not about saving anybody. It's about empowering people to be able to take really good care of themselves, which I think we as Americans, no matter what you have, can learn from that as well. Because when you are in that energy, you're coming from a completely different place, and wanting to give from a different place. I used to want to give all of my energy out, all of my resources. And then I would sit back and be like, I'm pissed, I'm resentful, I'm annoyed, and I'm angry. And I was the common denominator there. And I do believe that the people that Des and Chris and I hang around with are those people who very much believe to their core that we are here to change the world. And in order for us to create and instill and sustain that change, we have to learn to take really good care of ourselves. So you could be a multimillionaire, but you could barely have any food in your fridge. I look at that all the time. I'll go into people's houses and I'll look in their fridge and I'm like, oh, you're not taking really good care of yourself. You've got the resources, but you don't think that you're that important. And so I want to, encourage people to just take an inventory of how are you taking really good care of yourself, so that again, you can have that abundance amplified and be giving to other people in a way that makes sense. Maybe it's a percentage of your earnings or percentage of your business. I think Chris is actually the better person to speak about that specifically. But I think it's, again, just being really intentional and what can you do from where you are right now? There was a long time that it was volunteering for me, and now I'm able to make more financial contributions. And to me, it has to feel fun and mutually reciprocal, in the sense of it's not soul sucking, and I'm enjoying being able to show up. And I think after going to Guatemala this last trip, I'm like, I'm good. I can wait a while before I go back. But what does that new story look like? And it's actually hosting people from Guatemalan entrepreneurs and sharing my network and my resources, and them being able to feel a different level of abundance so that they can bring that back and empower their communities to start raising that standard, which they're already doing with these peaceful protests.
Oh yeah. The intentionality, which is so important, right? How, if we're taking that opportunity to really act from a place of desire, like true desire, in what serves you in this moment, maybe as opposed to like maybe what serves you in previous times. So for example, when I started off in my career, as soon as I had the opportunity to give back to the community with not only my time, but also my financial resources, I started. And the projects that I was working with were great. They were around education and community and helping young children and local business in Hoboken, where I was living at the time. And I did that for several years. For I think just over 10 years, I was involved in those organizations. And I probably did it to the point where maybe I spent a little too much. I gave away a little bit too much of my energy, both in time and money. but I also, it gave me the opportunity when I stepped back and I paused and I really kind of went inward to see, okay, what if I'm going to take a break from these organizations, what do I want to do next? What really, like, connect with your heart, right? Connect with your soul. Like what drives you, what excites you, the fun, like where can I have real fun doing this? And do I have a true deep connection to? For people, I often hear from people, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, right? That is a scarcity mindset, right? 101. And when you start to look at things a little bit differently through a different lens and understand that, time, your perception of time and your perception of how much money you have, really just, it's an internal operation system that can change at any time if you train it to change, right? We have inherited belief systems. Katie talked a little bit about this when we first started speaking. And over time, the more as we move throughout our life and have we excel in our careers and we build families and we buy things, whether it be homes or other things, the more decisions that we need to make and responsibilities we have, right? And the more challenging it could feel for people to get involved in something that they haven't been doing, right? Like volunteering their time and skills or donating money to organizations, because they just have so much going on and all these things that they've been doing that they really don't understand that, like, they can actually free up some time there and spend it on other things. So as Katie mentioned with her clients, people come to me looking to invest, not necessarily give their money away. And I get them to the point of understanding what they truly desire, how they feel, right, in their life and around their money. And it often turns into me needing to coach them through spending more, right? Not only on their lifestyle, right, but also spending more and sharing, what they've worked hard to create with other people before they're dead. So that process, that coaching is not simple, and it's not a one step or one day thing. It's a multi-year process. Ultimately, we get to the point where we help people understand what their needs are to live the lifestyle that they desire, and then what their passions are so that they can bring more fun into their life, right? And through having fun, it lightens your energy, creating more space for you to live abundantly in other aspects of your life as well.
There's something that I've recently developed, and I'm really grateful, Christopher and Katie, to have you both just in my life, because you both really embody this and take the practice very seriously. But just taking a breath and listening to myself has really helped me in listening to others beyond me and hearing past the initial, like, anxiety or trigger or whatever that is, and hearing the root of what they're truly saying. Listening to it is such a different skill set that I've come to develop just as a result of listening to myself more intentionally, and hearing, what am I feeling, what's coming up for me, what's, am I feeling stressed about this? Am I feeling anxious about this? As opposed to just charging because, former big wave surfer, I'm just used to going straight and going that way. Like, it's a big wave, I'm just gonna go. And there's some big waves out there. There's some big things happening out there that, for me, my best coping mechanism is laughter and is joking and levity, and it eases the weight of all of the things that are out there, including scarcity of time, scarcity of money, scarcity of passion for the millions of awesome initiatives that are out there that everyone can, resonate with in some small way. And it's like, I care about this. Why don't I super care about this? Is often something that I hear folks in their journeys, and being in the listening of what's coming up. I've just noticed has really helped be in the listening of others in a more authentic way. So thank you both for encouraging that in me.
Of course, I love your giggles, Desiree. They are just so potent and so good and so felt.
They're real. They're real.
Yeah.
Especially during meditations. Those are my favorite.
Can't help myself. Sometimes funny things come up in meditation.
I think Annie, you're on mute there.
Yeah, I'd love to give a chance for any of our participants to drop questions into the chat if you have them. We're nearing the top of the hour here, but I'm just really, reflecting on the themes that you all brought together of, pause and listening and bringing fun into the equation. And I think all of it is really aligned and gives folks plenty to chew on and to think about. And okay, we've got Paula asking, if you have only $100 to start to change your abundance mindset, what would you spend it on?
That's good.
I would say yourself first. If you really don't feel like you're embracing abundance, and that there's something that you need to work through, whether it be reading a book, Katie had just mentioned a couple resources that are extremely helpful, or just taking an online course. There's so many people, there's some really great people that are doing amazing work and have they have different classes that you could take that are already pre-recorded to help you do work around money. I know there's one called like Manifestation Babe that my partner has been working with for some time, and the teachings that I see people putting out there, it just depends on whether or not you have the mindset to commit to it and work through it, whether it be on your own to start, and then depending on how you go from there, exploring what feels like the next step for you.
Love that.
What do you think?
I would, if I had $100, I would take 10 of it and I would just put it away in a high yield savings account. Want that money to start making money. And I also think it's this practice of paying ourselves first. So I think if you are an entrepreneur, there is this discomfort with paying yourself. So getting comfortable with that, paying yourself first in your business, paying yourself first personally. So I think there's just that practice of learning to pay yourself first. And then I would meditate and get clear on what have I deprived myself of recently that just I really could use. So whether that's, I tend to, like when I've been traveling on the road, I don't buy myself clothes. And sometimes I'm like, I want to go buy myself a really nice pair of yoga pants. And figuring out what it is in that budget that you want, and then not going and buying something online, like going into the store, having the experience, have someone taking care of you, enjoying the whole experience of it. So it really is this item that you not only invested in yourself, financially, but that you are worthy of having an experience around it and having something that's really nice, that is good quality. And just throw away all your holy shit, all your holy stuff. Oh, I caught myself there. Didn't use an expletive.
Yeah, I've got a little different perspective, but also like very aligned. I would use that $100 to optimize. So I have a almost 4-year-old son. Something I spend a lot of time doing is chopping vegetables for his food. And, I want to be able to have the time to give my son nutritious meals, as well as have the time to work on the really incredible stuff that I do. And so this happened to me recently. Someone gave me a gift card, like a Target gift card. It was $100, and I walked into Target and I was like, what do I need? And then I was like, no, what do I want? And I ended up getting one of those like food processing choppers with like 17 different blades, because now I've got so much more time and I'm meeting the fundamental need. And so I feel like taking that $100 and optimizing so that you do build that capacity, like future self will thank past self, and whole self will be happier.
I love that all three of us
whole
had different
vegetables.
answers.
Yeah, it tracks.
That is the beauty of a panel. Really gives perspectives that I think each perspective really brings a possibility into awareness, right? Each person is so multifaceted. And I think that one of the great things about learning from each other is like giving each other permission to explore what those needs and desires and possibilities really look like. So I'm very grateful for each of you and your perspectives today. I look forward to continuing this conversation in a variety of ways, because I think we're just, starting to peel back the layers of what this looks like. And it seems like one of the things that's really relevant here is just people need to talk about it, and we need to make more space for people to be able to talk about it. So maybe our follow-up conversation is a slightly different format, more of a roundtable where we can hear from our participants and have a little listening session together. So I'd love to give each of you maybe a final moment to say anything that you'd like to share, ways for people to get involved and or support your work. Feel free to, let us know what's on the horizon for each of you. And I'm happy to follow up with some links in the chat to support.
Awesome. I am actually creating my next mastermind, which is an intimate group of 6 people that work together over a 6-month period of time. Again, they've already had a track record of success. I like to call them the humble hustlers, really good at taking care of everyone else, but want to learn how to take really good care of themselves. So there's a lot of emotional intelligence work, as well as establishing personal and professional goals and working together as mirrors to help amplify the growth process. I work a little untraditionally or unorthodox. I don't usually have a start date. I wait till the right people come together, and then I begin. So I have 2 people signed up right now, looking for 4 other ones, and we'll probably start before the end of the year. And if anyone's interested, just get in touch with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, and I'm happy to talk to you about it further, the investment and time and resources as well. And just so happy that y'all are here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. These 2 lovely ladies, Katie and Desiree, had asked me to participate in this, and I was just humbled for the opportunity to speak with such amazing women, and love what everybody's working on and doing, especially faraway projects. So I would encourage people to, if you want to dive deeper in any of these different ways and need some additional resources, just follow up with one of us who you felt most connected to throughout the conversation, and we're happy to at least have a short conversation with you or point you in the right direction where you might be able to find resources. Because again, there's the fact that no one's an expert in this stuff. We're always constantly learning and experiencing, and we're going to have different recommendations, just like we had different recommendations on what to do with that $100. So just, connect with the person you feel called to, and we're happy to share the resources to help you with what it is that you're working on or what it is that you need. I just finished writing my book, Conscious Wealth, spelled WELLTH. And we're super excited to get that launched probably sometime in January. So over the next couple of months, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a roadshow. So if any of you all have connections for me, whether it be with podcasts or webinar speaking or any type of speaking engagements, I'd be grateful for those opportunities. So as I'm looking to receive things in after giving so much energy and light to you all. So thank you in advance for that opportunity, and sending all the best wishes to you all, and as you explore this mindset of abundance, what that means for you.
Yeah, thank you both, Katie and Christopher. Seriously, this was just a beautiful conversation, and I couldn't have hoped for a better chat between us. Thank you, Annie, for facilitating. What's up for the rest of the year? Gosh, Faraway is really busy. We are at 67 projects that we're fiscally sponsoring right now, and we're fundraising between now and the end of the year to be able to scale the support that we offer these projects. We've got Faraway Radio. We just had an incredible special episode about art for impact that was released. And we also have a CSR in a Box program, a customized program that we developed in partnership with Deloitte to be able to help companies and for-profit initiatives develop out their impact on a very catered and specific, handheld way that's very nurturing to developing out their mission and aligned with ours. So we've got a lot on our plate. Capacity building is first and foremost, and just really grateful to be able to support through the work that we do.
And can I just add, you have a big fundraising push coming up, correct? And what does that capacity building look like for you? What do you need resource wise in order for the next?
Yeah. So we're raising 300,000 between now and the end of the year to bring on more staff members and to be able to scale the resources that we offer the projects. As right now we're onboarding about 2 projects a week, and so it's a lot of folks out there that are in action, and it's really beautiful to see that so many people are moving in the direction of helping their local communities, helping the larger communities, and prototyping, and really just being called to make change in the world. And so we want to be able to continue providing tools and resources for them, and believe that a little bit of funding between now and the end of the year is going to help us do that. Thanks for the question, Katie.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone has an abundant rest of their day and week. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you all so
Thanks for the
much.
opportunity.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.